Hi, Jim Vanderscaff, Down East Wood Art. Welcome to my shop. Today we're going to talk about making dovetails by hand. And I produced a video, made a video before about how to do this. This is just an example of one made by hand. You can see the fit up is quite good. And this method is, I must give credit to Rob Cosman, a Canadian woodworker. I call him the savant of dovetails. He has taught me this method. I went up to see him about 1.5 years ago and learned the method while I was delivering some books for some of his students. So anyway, we're going to start with this method. I'm going to keep talk to a minimum during this because if you want that level of detail with the explanations, I'll link that video to this one. All right, so we got a pin board and a tail board. I've done one of these before, and you can see tail board and pin board, and that's, what's this for? Well, if we go over here, Alex, what I'm doing is making another shaker table just like this, only it's going to be all cherry. And when I did the dovetails on here before, I did them with a jig. This time I'm going to do them all by hand. And if you just step back over here, this is a work in process. This is the shaker table. It hasn't been sanded or anything yet. It's just been fit up with the basic portions of it. And this is what we're going to make. All right, so we start over here. We got a tail board, the tail board, and the pin board, and they happen to be the same thickness. So I just set the gauge. This is just a standard marking gauge. I just set that for that depth, and then I'm going to start with the tail board first, and I just mark that on the outside like this. And I mark the tail board all the way around, marking it deep on the side. It's helpful if this little pinwheel is sharp, so you change them out every so often. These several of these tools I got from Rob Cosman. I'll show you links below. Anyway, that's all marked. Then the pin board. You can see that for pin boards we don't mark on the ends, so I'll just do that on the faces. And not on the ends. This is a unique method. Rob Cosman, I think, has probably the most unique method for making dovetails that I've ever seen. So I start off with this in the vise, and now I don't know if you noticed, but in the previous video what I do is square this up, of course, with a square, and tighten it down. Now, if I didn't have this little device in here, this is the same thickness as this board, this whole vise would rack and it wouldn't hold this solidly. So that's just a little device jig. It's got a magnet on it on one side, and I've made them for different sizes, and they're just very handy for this kind of work. All right, so we're going to do layout. And the layout I like is shown here visually. This is the kind of arrangement I like to make. So if I'm laying out, again, this is the pin board. I want something about like that for both ends. So we'll lay it out on the end here. Just about like that, and put a hole down, I'll mark those later so you can see them, and a mark there. And now we just want to find the center, because we're going to have two tails on this. And so we find the center by just doing like this, a little bit less. That's good. So I just got a mark there. Now what I do is I like to have this chisel for the middle. So I want it so I can cut that on the bottom. So I make it just a little bit wider than this because I like to use that single chisel. So we'll just get that to the right. If I did like that with a 6:1, that would be fine. So we'll just space this on either side of the center, and we'll make 2 marks. Now you probably can't see those, so I will highlight them with a pen. Just right here, right here, right here, and right here. All right, now made my own marking gauge. Just a perpendicular here, and then 7:1 for softwoods and 6:1 for hardwoods. That's kind of standard, conventional way to do this. So use that to just mark these. And you can't see it on this side, but I'll just do it on this side. All right, so those are all marked. Now we're going to mark them going down. We use the 6:1. And again, this is probably hard to see, but and then we switch it around and go on the other side. I'll just mark these a little bit so easier to see. And this one. All right, so they're all marked. Now what I like to do is that extent, I like to mark that with tape so it's easier to see when you're cutting. So very carefully put that right on the line. All right. Now square up and we're ready to cut. All right, so what we'll do is just cut straight across the top. It has teeth that are finer in the front 1.5 inches versus back here, so you just get the saw started with your thumb in place and then go right down the line. And try to hit the bottom. Just like that. Do the other top one. All right. Now we'll come on the other side. think it'll show better on this side. All right, so we got those cut. And let's see if we made it down to the line. Yeah, pretty good. That one just a little bit short. But now comes the unique part of this methodology. I'll just use the chisel to clear those things off. All right. Now, what we do is take the tape off here and put it on the other side. And the reason being is, I'll show you in a minute. Again, right on that line. All right. Now, take the pin board and put it in place. This time we're going to use this plane to get it adjusted. Get it adjusted to just the right height. Just like that. Now, we'll use this piece of tape to register against the board here so that it's just right on there. All right, now here's where the genius, that's a little uneven for some reason. I'll just have to hold that down on there, make sure it's right. But what we do now is adjust this over here, Alex. We adjust this marking knife to just the thickness of the kerf on the saw. And why we're doing that, I'll explain in just a minute. If you can see, it just sticks out that far. It's just the thickness of that. So I'll do that again, because this has to be done right. Lay it down on a piece of flat wood, let the thing drop, slide it over, push down on this side so you get it tight, lock it in place, and it sticks up just that amount. Okay, why are we doing that? Well, what we do is take it so that the mark is just on this side and slide this board over to okay. So what we got now is just a little gap here, the thickness of the saw blade on that side. So I've slid the tail board over to the left. Now I'm going to, since I slid it to the left, I'm going to mark the right hand sides of these tails. I'm going to just slide in here where I cut the tail board and mark the pin board several times by going down like this. Now I keep doing it on the right hand side. I'm sorry, yes, on the, well, this side, and this side. All right, now I got those marked. Now what I do is I put the black mark down on the pin board and slide the tail board over to the right, just like that. Now I'm going to mark the other sides. Go down in here just like that. Mark it several times so you get a good mark. Okay, so now we can take it up and you can see what we got. We got marks exactly where we're going to cut this board next. And just so that you can see those a little bit better, I'll mark them with a pen. These marks aren't essential, but it just makes it handy to when you're cutting so that you saw it to the right, in the right direction. Okay, so those are the cuts that we're going to make. Put it back in here. Get it squared up. And now what I want to do is just cut straight down. Before I cut at an angle like this, now I'm just cutting straight down on each one of these. So I start over here. And I got exactly where I'm supposed to cut already defined. Mark that one a little bit better so I can see it. Okay. Right down to the line. Now I'll do the other side. Pull it out and see how we did. Nice and straight. This one's not cut all the way down, but it's close. All right, so I'll just knock that down just a little bit. There we go. Just didn't take much. Anyway, now we got those. They all look good. All right. So now we cut these out with a fret saw. Fret saw's got a it's a smaller blade than a coping saw. It's just a small little blade like that. Come down in the hole and go down to just about the base. Hold it horizontal. Make a turn. And that one's out. Do the same thing here. This is done with cutting. Now, we'll lay a board underneath it and we're going to chop it out. And we'll start off this is better shown on the other side, Alex. Here's you can see the line, and maybe if I just put a piece of tape in there, that the video would be clear as to where we're going. Put it right on the line. Okay, so now we're just going to chop it. And the way to chop it is take a piece at a time. If you went all the way into the edge, you'd push this back because that's got a bevel on it. So you're taking a piece at a time like this. You're not trying to go all the way down, you're just going a ways down because you don't want to blow it out on the other side. Do the same thing over here. Usually you can do these in a couple of passes. So we got just part of the way on those. Now we'll do them from the other side. I'll use this other chisel because this is narrower. I'll do the same thing again so you can see the line. Clean that out a little bit more. I'll do it with a bigger chisel this time. Get it nice and squared up. All right, getting there. Looks pretty good. Undo the other side. That should do it. Okay, so we got this done. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so you can see the tails are finished. What I didn't do on this before is mark things that we want to get rid of, so that's always a good idea if you're just starting this out. Marking the stuff that's going to get cut out, and you're just making sure that that's the right way. So now we're going to cut this one. Same approach. We'll put some tape down on it again to make it easier to see. All right, we'll cut them out with the frets up. Just the one in the middle, we do the ends a different way. Okay, there's that. Now the ends we just cut off with the dovetail saw. A lot of times you can take a chisel and just put a mark in here like this, because we already got that. We got it marked, and if you do this, you'll just peel that up, and then you get a knife wall that you can just cut to. Makes it easier to start. Make sure you got your saw vertical and square. And that knocks that one out. Do the same thing on this side. I'll just cut this one. Holding my thumb there. There you go. Now we're just going to chisel that out. So here we go. Here's the smaller chisel for this. And as you can see, this came out right, just so you can use that size chisel. It just makes it easier to go almost all the way across. Alright, flip it on the other side. Take a similar size pass. See how that breaks off? This chisel needs a little sharpening, so I'll use a smaller one because I don't want that to happen. It's jamming the wood down in there. Clean that out. All right, getting there. We got a little cleanup to do. Oh, I think we got it. So, pull the tape off. Now, there's one more thing we have to do, and that is when we fit these together, they're going to go like that. I want to chamfer the inside edges here, not all the way to the end, because then it's visible, but just chamfer the edges. Just a little bit like this, and makes it go in easier. No, for all right. So tails and pins, just like that. Let's see how this fit up goes. Let's clear things out here a little bit. Lay this down on a nice surface. And just see how we did for square. A little bit like that. And there you are. That's not a bad fit up there. Little tiny gap there, but the rest of them are pretty good. And then this I have to clean out in here just a little bit more, but I'm not going to videotape that. And then I plane the surfaces. And you can see the other one with the other one going together like this. It almost is hand fit. Get something here. That went at an angle. But anyway, there you see it. And then it's going to be half blind dovetails up front for the drawer. And you can see how the thing goes in place. It just, well, it's a little tight. I need to plane it. But it's made to this size. So this is the front, and that just slides right in there. So that'll be planed and put in place. And that's how you do hand cut dovetails. Thanks.